Good
Hap-
morning from the hills.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Memorial Day weekend. Our gratitude and love to all those who served and have made our freedom possible. I think we just started. So we just said good morning and happy Memorial Day. Happy Sunday. So thrilled to be sharing with you from the hills of
We're,
North Carolina.
we're down here visiting our daughter, who we haven't seen due to the pandemic since February. So it was a wonderful sight for sore eyes. So
Yeah.
we're here.
So sorry we missed Friday, but we were driving all day in the car,
Oh, God.
and that was quite an event.
Yes, not the best passenger.
You're okay. You're okay.
Commotion, you say.
There was constant commotion.
Movement.
Yep. So anyway, what we wanted to share is that we pretty much are all set and in line. I've asked our team to post the uh, guidelines for personal care, which includes our salons and our barbershops and cosmetology schools. Most of the state knows exactly when they're going to reopen, which is next Friday, the 29th. Some of you have chosen to open on June 1st. And Chicago is waiting for Mayor Lightfoot to give you the green
Green
light
light.
on when you can open. So um, please know that while we're talking about the opening guidelines, it doesn't necessarily mean you all have a date in Illinois, but most of you do. And that's the same thing in Indiana. I think Marion County is the last county that has not reopened in Indiana and is set to reopen June 1st. Hats off to Ava Lowry, who wrote a beautiful letter to the mayor,
Oh, it was wonderful.
and she and her dad, David, also appeared on local television, and the spotlight really was just so special to see Ava all grown up and handling.
Her
Uh,
father.
I don't know if she did that or
No,
not,
I'm
but
just kidding.
anyway, so what we have in Illinois are guidelines in the various areas. First of all, who it applies to. Second of all, um, the, the employee attendance, the HR requirements, um, the workspace requirements, and and um, and then the guest behaviors and so on and so forth. In each one of those, at least in the Illinois example, it gives requirements and best practices. And that's really kind of where I wanted to speak up to first thing this morning is um, you're going to have choices. You're all going to be making choices as to how much or how thoroughly you implement change.
Well, Emma's making brownies this morning, and I said, we're going to go record. I'll join you when I come back in. She goes, well, I know how to do it. I mean, duh, just follow the instructions.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, isn't that so true for what we're coming back to? Follow the instructions, follow the plan. And
Well, but at the same time, follow the plan, but follow it to what you believe is right and what you feel is the maximum. I would overperform on this one for a couple of reasons. One is that it's not just compliance. Please don't set your eyes on compliance. Set your eyes on meeting the guest's needs. And part of their needs are optics. Part of their needs are optics. Part of your team's needs are optics.
mhm.
You need to be in a situation where your team feels comfortable coming back and where your guest feels comfortable coming in.
And I think that we talked about this a lot when we talk about the safety pledge, safety for the staff, safety for the guest, safety for the community, and all that are connected to. And as a result of that, these are the reasons. I saw a post, the reasons we're putting these things in place because our pledge of safety
Mhm.
and our pledge of wellness and our pledge of peace of mind, if that is even possible right now. But what I saw is um, I think I saw a post yesterday where it said, what do you do if a client refuses to abide by the things that you have in place? And I'm sorry, due to your not wanting to comply with our systems and our service right now, we can't serve you at the expense of our pledge. And it's as simple as that. And it's hard. I mean, I believe this one woman said to the salon, you're robbing me my freedom of liberty, right? Or something.
Yeah. Well, there was also a story from Costco where at a particular Costco, a gentleman was shopping, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and they literally took the cart away from him and asked him to leave the store. Now but at the same time, while that seems harsh, that's why we make the decisions in advance before there's personalities involved.
Well, certainly this is an obvious uh, way right now. I mean, the gentleman to act surprised by that, or the woman to act surprised by that. I mean, they'd have to be living under a rock to fight what we're all trying to accomplish right now. However, you are going to have those resistors that are going to push the buttons any way they can. And I know it's not comfortable. You know, one of the things that I would love for the salon to say, the hardest part of being having to wear a mask is to feel that closed in feeling, but you're worth it,
Hmm.
right?
Well, and it's harder to breathe, and it takes
Oh,
more effort and energy than you can
and
imagine.
it creates more heat.
And so this is why we applaud so much the salons that have taken the time to do practice sessions,
Mm-hmm.
that have seen where the bumps are in the road. You're not in a position where you're uh, kind of practicing on your paying guests and then trying to make adjustments on the run. You can do that more carefully and just with more intent by taking people through practice and the steps that are involved. And then I think again, if you know that there are some things like posting uh, the
Oh, she wants
categories.
Dad to lick the spoon.
Hang on,
Oh,
this is important.
favorite daughter move just now. Brownie batter.
Mm, delicious.
Delicious. I
Thank
don't
you.
need any. You can say hello. Can you say hello?
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So, oh, she
So
just got extra points.
she did.
Huge.
Yeah. And the thing about the notices. So the symptoms of COVID-19 should be posted, they said in some cases, depending on where you are, in multiple languages. That's something that needs time to prepare and time to get done, and that's a requirement, not a maybe.
Well, let's go back to this having to tell a wonderful customer that you are not welcome here indirectly. Now,
Well,
wait a minute.
yeah.
Let me finish my thought on this, because this to me is kind of like cutting someone off if they had too much to drink,
Oh,
right? And how many times have I told the story that was the first time I had to learn how to cut someone off in a restaurant from too much consumption? I think my knees were shaking. And so you have to give everyone on staff the exact dialogue. We've made a decision to put these standards in place to protect all of us, you, the staff, the community, and we're asking for you to, um, for your support in our efforts. And if not, I'm so sorry, we're not going to be able to serve you in our salon until these things are no longer required, which we don't know when that will be. For someone who is 20 years old to say that to a 40-year-old person, that's going to be really tough for them. And you might say, look, I don't want anyone to do it except the owner. You might have only leadership is allowed to have that conversation. I'm not sure yet. But I do know that once you say it and stand behind it, um, it's going to give more confidence to the staff. And other people are going to watch how you handle that. Everyone's watching.
hmm.
So even though the parking lot is going to be our waiting area, other people in the salon will see how that's handled. And so really work on the dialogue that you want said to the guest that doesn't want to comply. Another thing that came up is, can they wear their own masks? I would encourage you to say no.
Well, and let's talk about that,
Yes.
because the requirement does not require staff to wear their own masks or guests to wear their own masks. It just says cloth mask. All right, so this is one of your decision points. What are
Mm-hmm.
you going to do? I think that every guest, even if they have their own mask, where they wear their own mask in, they need to be given a disposable mask. Because of the nature of our service,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it becomes important that we don't put at risk their own personal masks.
Yeah,
Plus,
this is their work environment and their work attire.
we can know that our masks are sanitized and
We
they're
can't,
fresh and they're single use.
and we can't know that about
We
theirs.
can't know that about theirs. And also you're going to make a decision on your own staff. Do you have a staff mask? I think I've seen Kelly Cardenas has his logo, and I know that shouldn't surprise any of you that know Kelly. Hey, Kel, um, because his logo's on everything. But but of course it's a black mask with his logo on it, and his staff wears that. And many salons are doing that. I've seen Paul Mitchell masks that say "Hairdressers Rock." There's many different things. For our schools, we got our school logo small on the side or on the cheek chin line of the mask, um, and we'll be doing something for PSC as well. So the you know the real thing is make these in advance, make these decisions in advance, because it will seem far less personal should you have to suggest or be firm with a guest about wearing a disposable mask while they're in the salon.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's
So,
non-negotiable. I think if it's in your service pledge, it now becomes non-negotiable. And the second you have a staff member that's not wearing a mask, a guest that's not wearing a mask, allowing staff members to congregate in groups
the
when
gates of
they're,
freedom are open.
that's right.
Yep. So,
They're no longer a rule. It's no longer the way you're going to protect the guest. You can't use it because the second you let go. And I think we got a great warning from that salon in Missouri that
mm-hmm.
you had someone with the virus who exposed. That number keeps going up. I think it started in the 80s and now it's up in the hundreds. But it gives us a good chance. This is not required, but it is suggested. What's required is that you take any outside relationships like the U.S., your mail person, your UPS driver, if you have a plumber that comes on site, anyone that comes on site, you need to do the same symptom checking and temperature checking, and you need to keep a separate log of those people, when they came in and when they left and those things.
You need to be able to identify the trail of contact. And so, even if you want your mail delivered outside the salon, that's fine. You want UPS to be outside the salon and asking for someone to come out, and it's all up to you. You make those decisions right now. And with the weather as decent as it is at this time of year, that might be possible. The other thing is when are you asking them to comply? Some people are saying we're going to take out their mask to their car and then escort them in. Okay. Or you can say, when you arrive, this is the mask we want you to put on. You've got to decide when you're asking your guests to now change over to your mask. We've got some salons that are using a hostess service to be able to guide the guest in, give them their disposable gown, their gloves, and their mask as they are entering the salon in a kind of a private area. So these are the decisions you have to make, but stand firm to the directions you're giving your staff. Stand firm. These are the 5 steps. Only if you deem necessary to do a change on those should they switch up. And ask them for feedback. That's why that trial run is so important.
Yeah, and again, think about the trial run. It's best. I would train it before you actually get there live to do it.
Sure.
You can do it on Zoom calls, but as an owner or a leader, a director, what you need to do for your salon is write the script. Write the script. Write how we're going to talk about our safety pledge. Write how we're going to escort guests. Who's going to escort the guest? Are you going to have a hostess? Is your
Front desk
is your
team.
front desk team going to become hostesses who respond to the tweets, the texts that come in?
Well, and the other thing is because we're not going to have multiple guests in at the time, the staff can assist with that. They can greet their own guests when they come in and have one go out, text them, have another one come in, and they actually help them get prepared for the service as they enter the building. So there's ways you can do it since you're not having 2 or 3 hairdressers in the salon. Customers in the salon per hairdresser at the same time. So that's good. The other thing is I really want to bring up is this 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
And realize, based on the size of the salon, it may be necessary. Not recommended for all. Now, 12 hours doesn't mean one person's working 12 hours.
Well, but some people are, you know.
But they're not. In the ones that I know that it's scheduled, they're working 6-hour shifts. Salons open 12-hour days, but they're working 6-hour shifts.
You know, I don't have my glasses on, but when you think about what people are talking about, we have lived with conditions our whole lives. No shirt, no shoes, no service, right? Janet just wrote that. And so, and we knew we can't go in without shoes on. Well, right now, no mask, no gloves, no cut. Right? So you think about that. But my worry going back to this is it's so funny when you're overtired or you're pushed a little bit beyond your means. You kind of start loosening up the guidelines. For example, even on this ride down here after 10 hours, I don't care if Jack wanted 15 Big Macs. If it would shut him up, we'll get them. You know, you just get so tired at some point that you just give in. I'm worried about that same thing happening in the salons. The other thing is if a leader thinks they've got to be open 7 days a week, and during this time they have to be there the whole entire time. You know, you've got to protect yourself during this too, this burnout. I mean, what are you capable of? And that goes back to, when do you push your energy beyond its means? When do you push your service beyond its means? When do you push your ideas beyond their means because your staff can't live up to that at that pace? The other thing that is helping right now, and Steve and I both talked to Kelly on Saturday morning, or Friday rather. He was talking about the fact that removing the labor-intensive blow dry has made a big difference in his staff's energy. That labor-intensive, just that alone, has allowed them to move at a faster pace, and they don't have that extra. I mean, if you think about how many hours in a day, right?
Well, and you know what? I mean, it kind of, removing the labor-intensive blow dry kind of goes back to our roots as a company, because at the start of PSC, that was really the message of Paul Mitchell, the man,
was
sculpting in place of blow drying, because he saw hairstylists spending a majority of their time being human water extractors, and we're not saying that this is a forever thing, and we just want to present both sides of it so that you can think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have an answer. We don't have the answer, but I will
But
tell you that in talking with.
But we did talk about that when we first came in and talked about service menu and limited the menu.
Limited service menu.
And maybe saying we're going to be doing cut and colors at first to expedite the needs of our guests, and no blow dries. I mean, we talked about all that to expedite.
You have to see. I will tell you that from the people that we've spoken with or about, John McCormick's Visible Changes, Van Council Salon, Kelly Cardenas,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Those are all salons that we know of that have reopened without doing the blow dry, no blow dry. And they are singing the praises of it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're going to do our best to get Kelly on at some point next week before the salons reopen in Illinois and talk about that. But he's so pro on the no blow dry during this time.
Yeah, he took them all out.
Yeah, he took them down, took them out. So let's talk about that more next week as we have Kelly join us. But in the meantime, this is your time. Take the requirements. We're going to be posting them on PSC's site. I asked Lauren to post them everywhere. I do see that, Tina. I just saw your question where I have to dry my colors to see if it's how I want it. Yeah, you know what? Especially depending on what type of color it is, you just need enough to see that
It took.
that
Well, and then is it a patch test? Is it patch
right,
dry? I don't know.
right.
That's a great
That's a
comment,
really
Tina.
great comment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure something that that you'll need to do. Kelly talked about, and I don't want to steal all his thunder, but he talked about how cool it was to be able to put a uh, conditioning treatment in the hair and braid the hair, or just work with the hair, manipulate the hair in place of the blow dry, and they were sending guests home with either with complimentary or with charge for conditioning services.
Well, the other thing we could do is use um, hood dryers.
Yeah, well, hood
That keeps the guest in there longer, though.
as long as well, hood dryer, hot air, and with a mask on, they're already hot. That could be
Yeah,
really
they could faint.
that could be difficult on the customer.
Fainting goats,
Yeah,
fainting guests. Yes.
we'll call it Terry's fainting zone in most salons. So anyway,
Oh shoot.
that's a good one. It's not required to eliminate the blow dry. It's not a requirement in our Illinois guidelines, but it's worth a thought. It's worth considering, and find out what's best for you.
Well, I'm thinking, I'm laughing now. Not that this is a funny topic, but remember when Tina overheated and I had to get her out of the shower? Oh my God, that's hysterical. But this is going to be different, and having a mask on could really elevate some people getting too hot. Oh, that's just funny, making me laugh out loud. I wish I could tell the whole story. So, what else?
So this is time. I've got to say, I had a friend in somewhere in California who wrote on Facebook today that was the first time since March something or other, March 15th maybe, that they were in their salon. And and what I want to tell you, in their salon, doing work on the salon,
Yes.
not doing work on guests, because that's not available yet. But what I would love to have you all do is think about the time, plan the time that you're going to spend in your salon this week getting ready for Friday or getting ready for the following Monday, depending on what you do. And we need to think about dialogue, steps of the service, training the steps of the service, training what's new, and making all of the new be to the benefit of the staff and your guests.
Well, and when I think about all the soft openings I did for restaurants, and usually it was that week before we would grand open, and the last day was all the VIPs that were coming in to be served at I think 75% discount or something. But we also talked to all of you, and the reason I'm saying this is I think it's one thing to role play with each other. It's another to role play with live guests. You might bring in first responders, you might bring in family members, but you need to watch it where we don't have to talk out loud the excuses. So let's say um, Wednesday and Thursday you bring your staff in for all role play and doing this with each other, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday you bring in live people to expedite and watch it done live, and then Friday you open your doors or whatever have you. But I can remember what we learned from role plays. They would all think, okay, we're ready, and then they'd get live customers and say, oh, what are we supposed to do? And so it really makes a difference watching that be done right in front of you, and to listen to the exchange and telling people. Just feel like when we would open that day and have VIPs in the community come in for the discounted service. No, I'm sorry. It was all free food, and the only thing they paid for was alcohol. We were not allowed to give that away. But watch what happens. They still had an expectation of service, and it made a big difference for us. So I'm really recommending that. Don't think that you can say this is what we're going to say, and they'll all go okay, and then you won't hear it right. It will be sloppy, and they don't like to role play in front of each other. Too bad. Give them a printed out script and say you have to memorize this. We'll see you for role play on Wednesday, but make sure your dialogue is is equally important during this as the steps of the physical service. What are we saying at the shampoo? What are we saying
Mm-hmm.
at the chair? What are we saying at the entrance? What are we saying on the exit? What are we saying about take home and rescheduling? They're a little bit different because some of you are expediting that right in the salon floor. So be ready for that.
Okay, so some of the things that that I wanted to address from this is in the general health area of your guidelines. And it says here that employees should wear face coverings over their nose and mouth when within 6 feet of others.
Mm-hmm.
Cloth masks preferred.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptions may be made where accommodations are appropriate. See the IDHR's guidance. So here's the way I look at that.
So it says nothing about screens.
No, it says nothing about screens. Screens would be optional. However, I would personally recommend screens if you're with a guest for a longer period. So any color service, I think you should wear the face shield as well as the cloth mask. But of course, you're going to make that decision on what's best for your customer. But it has been proven the more time you spend with someone, it's why they're only allowing, for example, in the massage area or the body treatment area, they're only allowing 30-minute services, even though they're generally 55-minute, an hour, or an hour and a half services. The longer you spend with someone, the more exposed they are, the more exposed you are to them and they are to you. So again, that's where we would recommend the face shield because you're directly over the guest and in the shampoo area, and the face shield when you're with them for an extended period of time, such as a color service.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to look at the IDHR's guidance on when to make exceptions, because making those exceptions are going to be, they need to be based on real situations, not based on, oh, I just didn't feel like wearing a mask, if that makes sense. Because it's going to be hard on your staff. There's no two ways about it to wear those for a shift.
Tracy said to Chris, that's the hardest, from Navi, hardest part is wearing the mask.
Absolutely. And I saw on a post somewhere that a dental surgeon's assistant might have even been on our feed at some point, but a dental assistant said that the masks are very difficult and they do take a lot of energy, and it does take an extra commitment to hydration. And I think that we've got to, and it might mean more frequent breaks. It might mean scheduling different to allow not only to re-sanitize the workstation, but to have a break, to be somewhere outside of the 6-foot proximity, not gathering with their teammates, but just to breathe fresh air is going to, I think, be important as you're becoming accustomed to. You know, it's funny when in The Last Dance, when Michael Jordan had whipped himself into shape for baseball, and then he came back for basketball, and they said he's in shape for baseball, but he's not in shape for basketball. Well, first of all,
when's the last time these hairdressers have been on their feet?
When's the last time they've been on their feet? When's the last time that they have touched their tools, their shears, their combs, their brushes?
When's the last time they didn't eat? Eat all day, right?
Yeah. When's the last time they didn't have a meal all day?
I mean, that's all I do.
So when you look at all of those things, those all fit and add up to stamina. How is their stamina going to be at this time when they're coming back into the salon? And if they haven't practiced it, my goodness, it's going to be, the first week is going to be tough. Owners, you're going to need to be there to cheerlead, to encourage, to thank,
to hydrate.
Yeah, to
call time out.
Yes. So you're also going to need to be their owners to inspect, to be sure that you get what you expected when it comes to, when it comes to this safety pledge. But don't just put it in place and think that you can be one of those that's working from home, because it's not going to work, especially in the beginning. You need to be present. All right, I want to see if there's anything else in here. I know there is. There's a training that's going to be required, and we'll try and have
more information about
We'll
it.
try. Yeah, because it's nothing that's in play. When it was discussed on the task force, there were many people that were saying, "Just give us the training and we'll train it. Just give us the training," and they can't because they weren't just writing this for the cosmetology and barber sector. It was all personal services, and so they said that based on the facility and based on the practice, it would depend on what. Hi, honey. It would depend on what needed to be trained. So, for example, all employees should complete health and safety training related to COVID-19 when initially returning to work. So we have a responsibility to train them on COVID-19 when they come back. And so again, how do they know that? They know that because we're going to train it. You should have what you trained off of in a file as an owner. You want to file that. This is what we trained. This was our source. And this really is health and safety training for dealing with people with COVID-19. All right. So, and you want to have the date and time that you did that, either with a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting, because it is the number one requirement on the HR and travel policies list. Let's see what else.
A big storm coming in.
Yeah. All right. So now we know we've got the responsibility of temperature checks.
Mm-hmm.
Someone having a fever that needs some kind of that needs to either be sent home. First of all, we need to be very clear with our teams that if you have any of these symptoms, the COVID-19 symptoms, stay home. This isn't come in on your last leg and stand there because we've got people scheduled all in your column. This is, we need safety over all of this. So we want to be sure that that's there. 100.4 is considered a fever in Illinois. That's the one that we have adopted. There are things in here that say that we need to, all employers should have a wellness screening program. So here's the thing. The wellness screening program is something that what salons are doing is they're either setting up a welcome table right inside their main door, and it's going over the safety pledge, the temperature, the symptom checker, and then that person is walking. It's either the stylist or the hostess, and they're walking them back to the stylist chair, one at a time. When that's done, we text the next guest who's out in the parking lot, and they come in and they go through the same thing.
Can you read Jennifer Grove's message? Because my
Yes.
glasses, I only have my sunglasses in.
Oh, yes, Jennifer says, pop an Altoid into your mouth when wearing the mask for longer periods of time. It really helps.
And either that or horseradish or
I've seen,
wasabi. Yeah.
yeah,
But
I've
it
seen people
opens it
say,
up, yeah.
I've seen people recommend halls, eucalyptus, just that type of thing. I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Tina, you asked where is this available? We will be posting it today. I'm sure you could find it if you went to the not IDFPR. You'd find it with the IDPH, Illinois Department of Health, in their COVID section. And but rest assured, it will be posted on PSC's site shortly. Okay.
Okay. Oh, pardon me.
So,
it's not the company.
Yeah, it could be. You never know. So there's responsibilities for if you've been exposed to it. I'm not going to go into that because I think we all know if we're exposed to it, we need to take very close care. I know that one thing that people have been really concerned about is we need to configure the space. Now here's the thing. Some people are actually physically taking out the chairs, and I think that's a good recommendation.
In the waiting area?
Well, they're taking out the chairs in the waiting area, and they're taking out the chairs if they're closer than 6 feet and they can't put a partition, like a hanging plexiglass. They're removing the chair because these guidelines say we can only be at 50% capacity anyway, maximum 50% capacity. So you may as well take out every other chair for the time being, uh, and go from there. You want to clear any flat surfaces. We spent a lot of time talking about that. Service providers should eliminate all serving of beverages, and these are minimum guidelines, is how they refer to this. Water fountains, except for touchless water bottle refill stations, should be made unavailable
Right.
for use, turned off, covered, or blocked. If a touchless fountain, water may be served in sealed single-use water bottles. Okay? And so, then they have encouraged best practices. So again, we're going to put all of this up there. I don't want to read this to you. I know a lot of work went into doing this. I want to do some questions here. Bernie says, oh, you can find this at, it's listed, but personalcare.pdf. Industry signage, a series of guideline, health, and directional signage to print and post as needed. And has the state given a time frame for how long, Ms. Joseph Novak, into the foreseeable future, we are mandated to adhere to these guidelines? Well, certainly until I think, Joseph, my understanding is it will change a little bit in phase 4. We're going to be going into phase 3. It'll change a little bit in phase 4, but not much. I think these are for phase 3 and 4. I'm going to go back and look, and they won't change until phase 5. And phase 5, I believe, is when we have a vaccine available to us, if I remember that right.
That's what I heard.
People work regardless. Okay, so again, that's my understanding, Joseph. So we will hear that at some point in the future, but for right now, this is in place.
You know, it's so funny when you think about how foreign this is to us, but to other industries, this has been their common practice forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the medical profession, of course, at times could be perceived as more professional, but if there's anything that's heightened during this time is the status of our industry service provider. Absolutely. And they're being asked for by demand, and absolutely are perceived as I'm losing the word, a service provider people can't live without.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, if we have to wear the mask, so what? Other industries have done it for a lifetime. We might be part of that new industry that has to have that as well.
Okay, Lori, you just asked. I heard you say one customer per staff member. I don't see this in the restore guidelines. With plenty of space for someone to wait and process, this is still not allowed. Well, here's what they do say about that. 5 customers maximum per 1,000 square feet. And it is, in fact, then considered, it's a unspoken, but no more than one guest per. Now, I know that gets crazy with color.
Only if you're double scheduling, Steve. And we've encouraged them during this time not to do so.
So I would say that, again, you've got encouraged best practices, and then you've got minimum guidelines, and then you've got what you believe is right for your salon and your customers.
Well, be really careful here. I mean, when you look at one guest, 5 guests per 1,000 square feet. Also, what that means is the last thing I want to do is to not have the weight of the guest service to be something I can manage. What I love about one service provider in the salon at a time is we're absolutely protecting their experience. I love that. And also, why would I want to give 2 guests to one service provider?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that limits you.
it would be another thing to have to jockey around. So
Absolutely.
here's, and I said this Wednesday in our live, and I guess I just want to say it again, that I think that through this course of COVID-19, I think that hairdressers and barbers, while they may not have been deemed essential workers, I think that you've been proven to be essential. And I think that the public perception of hairdressers and barbers has gone through the roof. I think it's the highest in regard that our profession has been held in the last 100 years at least. Now, that's ours right now. We come
Protect it.
back to work with that. We need to be sure that we do protect it. We need to be sure that we live up to the standard that the public has viewed us in. They're so anxious to come back to see you. They're so anxious to appreciate you and to get their haircut and to get their touch-ups and everything else. It's just so important that we take this to the next level, and not take it. I don't mean take yourself too seriously, but we need to be serious enough that we really care. We're not going to put profit or dollars in front of the safety of our team or our guest. So I think that that's just an excellent way to think about it. So, do you want to see if Jackson wants to say hello?
Oh, sure.
Okay. We're going to be winding.
We all have wake-up hair, except you.
Yeah. Oh, Jack's really got wake-up hair. I promise you that. He's not in his normal YouTube mode here. But just know that many of you have made Jackson's COVID coop up. You've made that much better because he loves popping in on these lives and saying hello to everyone.
And can I just tell you, it smells so good in there, and I can tell he's staring at the oven to see when he can get a brownie. Come here.
Jackson, people want you to say hello. Hurry up.
What is this? What is this? Come on. Get over here. Over here
Between
in
Mom
the
and
middle. In the middle.
Up,
In
right
the
here.
middle.
In between.
In the middle, so they can see your wake-up hair. Tell them.
Hi everyone! I know you're all watching. I hope you are laughing because I'm remember, I am the son of these two right here.
That's right.
And you're in North Carolina, right?
And see.
Oh my God! Were you eating
Doritos.
Doritos?
No,
Oh,
don't do it.
That's gross.
Okay,
Jack.
tell everyone
Thank
to
you.
have a wonderful.
Have a wonderful.
Have a sweetest day, all you sweeties.
Well, but also about Memorial Day.
What about
Have a happy
Memorial
Memorial
Have a
Day
sweet
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. I hope you sweeties have to.
All right. We'll see you.
So I think we're gonna sign off here. Just know that we love and respect all of you, and we've got a lot of work to do this week. I know many of you have been working on this already. Let's just see it all the way through. Finish strong. Finish strong.
Practice hard.
Yeah. And know that it's all going to be worth it. When you see every, however it is, if it's 1 an hour, if you see that guest lighting up in the mirror when they see themselves, you get to alter what's 70% of someone's first impression.
And those of you that watched Last Dance, wait,
And was that thunder?
yeah, it is thunder.
Mhm.
Can you give us a moment? I'm saying
Is it
goodbye.
gonna rain?
I had a great,
I
I-
see.
yeah, it's going to
She
rain.
was going to talk about The Last Dance.
I was going to talk about The Last Dance.
And what were you
And
gonna
it's
say?
game time.
It's game time.
It's
Woo!
game time. Woo! This week is game time. Go get them and make sure you're ready.
Have a great day.
Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
Jackson, it's going to be a bad thunder, isn't it?
I enough for that one.
Well, I was just hearing a little bit, but I've got to go and stir.